remove all limitations in your life. What if the biggest limitation in your life is not outside you? What if it's the quiet voice that says, "It's over for me. AI is too powerful. My best years are behind me. If I lose this job, I lose myself." That's what we're talking about today. Not fake positivity, not hustle talk, not corporate nonsense. Something deeper. Because if you're scared about AI, scared about work, scared about the future, the real danger is not only losing income. The real danger is starting to believe that your life has become smaller than it really is. And that's where Kant can help. Not in a stiff classroom way, in a very human way, because Kant keeps coming back to one big truth. There's something inside you that shouldn't be ruled by fear, appetite, pressure, or panic. There's something in you that can still stand up. There's something in you that can still choose. There's something in you that's worth respecting, even when the world gets unstable. That matters a lot right now. So today we're going to talk about how to remove limitations from your life when the future feels tight, scary, and uncertain. Not by pretending danger is not real, but by refusing to let fear become your master. 1, the first prison is often invisible. When people talk about limits, they usually think about outside things: money, time, connections, technology, age, bad luck. Those things matter. Of course they do. But a lot of people are trapped long before the outside wall even closes in. They're trapped by the story in their own head. I'm only valuable when I am useful. If I am not winning, I am nothing. If the world changes, I am finished. If a machine can do my job, then I don't matter. That's a terrible way to live. And it's also a lie. Kant would say a human being is not just a tool, not just a thing that gets measured by output, not just a machine for pleasing a market. That's one of the first limitations we need to break. You're not just a role. You're not just a paycheck. You're not just a function in an economy. If you think you're, then every shock becomes a total collapse. But if you understand that your dignity is deeper than your current job, then even painful change doesn't erase you. It only forces you to rebuild. That's very different. 2, fear makes everything smaller. This is what fear does. It shrinks the future. It shrinks your imagination. It shrinks your courage. It shrinks your identity. Soon you're not even asking, what kind of life could I still build? You're only asking, how bad is this going to get? And once that happens, life starts to close in. You stop trying, you stop learning, you stop reaching out, you stop moving. You keep refreshing headlines, you keep reading predictions, you keep staring at other people's certainty, and your own mind becomes a little darker every week. That's a limitation too. Not a technical one, a spiritual one. Kant gives us a strange kind of comfort here. He says, 2 things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. That line matters because it tells us something simple. The outer world is huge, yes, unstable, yes, mysterious, yes, but inside you there's still something real, a center, a conscience, a power to choose, a law within. That means the future is not only happening to you, you're still participating in it. 3, if AI takes your job, it must not take your self-respect. Let's say the fear comes true. Maybe not fully, maybe not tomorrow, but enough to hurt, enough to shake your career, enough to make you feel replaceable. What then? This is where a lot of people break, because the wound is not only financial, it's personal. You start asking, who am I if I am not this? What do I say when someone asks what I do? Was my whole life built on sand? That pain is real. It deserves honesty. You don't need to pretend it wouldn't hurt. But Kant would push back on one point very hard. He would say your self-respect can't be handed over to a machine. A machine can replace a task. It can't replace your moral being. It can't replace your capacity for honesty, loyalty, courage, love, sacrifice, patience, decency, self-command or duty. Those are not small things. Those are the things that make a life worth living. This matters because modern life keeps tempting us to think that the highest good is being efficient, but a person can become more efficient and less human at the same time. That's not real progress. So if AI changes your work, mourn what's lost. Yes. Adapt where you can. Yes. But don't insult yourself by acting as if your whole worth disappeared with one role. That's too small a view of a human life. 4. Real freedom is not doing whatever you feel. This is where Kant becomes very useful. A lot of people think freedom means I get to do whatever I want. But that kind of freedom falls apart fast. Because if your mood rules you, then fear rules you. If comfort rules you, then avoidance rules you. If panic rules you, then headlines rule you. Kant has a stronger idea. Freedom is not being dragged around by every feeling. Freedom is becoming the kind of person who can act from principle. That means you feel fear, but you don't bow to it. You feel uncertainty, but you don't let it decide everything. You feel grief, but you don't turn into a ghost. You still act. You still choose. You still take responsibility for your next step. That's real freedom. And honestly, most people need to hear that. Because when life gets hard, they start waiting for the feeling of certainty before they move. That feeling may not come. So move anyway, not recklessly, not blindly, but faithfully. Do the next right thing, even while your chest is tight. That's how inner freedom grows. 5. Purpose doesn't disappear just because your role changes. This may be the biggest point in the whole video. A lot of people confuse role with purpose. They think, my job is my purpose. Sometimes a job can express purpose, but it's not the same thing. Maybe your job used to let you help people, or organize chaos, or build things, or teach, or solve, or protect, or support your family. Those deeper purposes may still exist, even if the role changes. This is so important, because if you tie your entire meaning to one lane, one company, one industry, or one title, then all change feels like death. But if you ask a deeper question, what good was I really trying to bring into the world? Now you've something to work with. Maybe the old road is closing, but the deeper aim can still survive. Maybe you were not born to be one exact job title forever. Maybe you were born to become a certain kind of person, and that person can still serve, build, teach, heal, create, guide, or steady others in a new form. That's how purpose survives disruption, not by staying fixed, but by going deeper. 6. Start with duty when the future feels too big. Kant has another powerful line. Duty, thou sublime and mighty name. It sounds dramatic, but the lesson is simple. When your life feels chaotic, duty can steady you. Not in some cold military way. I mean the next clear responsibility in front of you. When people get overwhelmed by AI anxiety, they start living in giant abstract questions. Will everything be automated? Will anyone hire me? Will society collapse? Will I become irrelevant? Those questions might matter, but they're terrible places to live all day. So come down one level, ask, what's my duty today? Maybe it's update your resume. Honestly learn one new tool without worshipping it. Take a walk and clear your head. Help someone in your family apply for 2 things. Instead of staring at 20, fix your sleep. Read a real book for 30 minutes. Clean your room. Make a budget call. A friend, small duties. Rebuild a broken spirit. Why? Because they prove you're still capable of governing your life. And that matters more than people realize. Self-respect is built in action, not fantasy. 7. Screens make fear louder and life smaller. This is one more trap. When people are scared, they often move deeper into screens. More scrolling, more predictions, more outrage, more hot takes, more panic, more watching other people pretend to know what's coming. Soon life becomes second-hand. You're not living, you're monitoring. That's another kind of limitation. And it's deadly to the soul, because purpose doesn't grow well in endless digital weather. Purpose grows in lived reality, in body, in conversation, in patience, in real work, in helping someone, in keeping a promise, in sitting under the sky long enough to remember that the world is bigger than the internet. So if your fear is growing, one of the best things you can do is step back into reality. Walk outside, cook food, lift something, read slowly, talk to an actual person, do something with your own hands. That's not laziness, that's recovery. It reminds your body and mind that life is still here. 8, you may need to build a smaller life before you build a bigger one. This part matters for people who are hurting. Sometimes when a career gets shaken, you can't jump instantly into some grand new destiny. Sometimes you have to rebuild quietly. Smaller days, smaller goals, smaller routines, smaller wins. That's okay. It's not failure. It's repair. Maybe for a while your job is not to become impressive. Maybe your job is to become steady, to become clear, to become sane again, to stop hating yourself, to stop calling yourself finished, to stop speaking to yourself like you're already dead. That matters, because if you can stabilize your spirit, you can build again. But if you lose your inner ground, every plan becomes weak. So don't be ashamed of quiet rebuilding. That's often where the real future begins. 9, remove the limitation that says your best life is behind you. This one is poison. And a lot of people drink it too early. They decide, that was my shot. The world moved on. Young people with better tools will take it from here. I miss my era. No, you don't know that. You're guessing from fear. And fear is not a wise prophet. There are people who build their truest life after loss, after humiliation, after layoffs, after divorce, after illness, after reinvention, after the collapse of whatever they thought the plan was going to be. This is part of human fragility. We want certainty. We want guarantees. We want the road to stay recognizable. But very often, the deeper life begins after the old illusion of control breaks. That doesn't make the pain good. It just means the pain is not the end. Closing. So if you want to remove limitations from your life, start here. Don't only fight the outside wall. Fight the inner one too. Fight the voice that says you're nothing without your job. Fight the habit of living in fear before anything has even happened. Fight the lie that usefulness is the same thing as worth. Fight the temptation to hand your dignity over to a changing world. Kant reminds us that there's something in you that can still stand upright, something that can still choose the good, something that can still live by principle, something that should never be treated like a disposable object. That includes by you. So if the future gets stranger, let it make you deeper, not smaller. Let it make you steadier, not weaker. Let it push you toward real purpose, not despair. And if everything feels uncertain, come back to this: the starry heavens above you, the moral law within you, and the next right thing in front of you. That's enough to begin again. If this helped, subscribe and share it with someone whose fear of the future is starting to become fear of himself.